Hello and welcome to another season of Yeah, We Read It. I am one of your
Ooh.
hosts, Maggie,
And I'm also one of your hosts. My name's Laura.
and I think we're rocking on our 11th season?
Oh, I'm
12th?
literally looking at it. I'm trying to pull it up right now because I really was like, dang, why didn't I not look at the number before we started this episode?
I don't
But
know. When
I
you're just
can.
fabulous, you don't remember things. You're not expected to remember
Ugh,
things when you're hot, you know?
it's so true.
And
But
we
we're
both
actually in our
are.
12th season, Maggie. Lucky number 12.
Our 12th season, and we said this in our wrap up during the One of Us is Lying series, but we are doing Gossip Girl
Wee
this time
woo.
around, which is very exciting. We are going to be tackling the first book. I started the first book, forgot I started it, and then finished the first season of the HBO Max show. So,
Wow. I'm excited to get back into like chick lit YA because I feel like it's been a minute since we've been really here at like the
yeah.
rich girl aesthetic books.
Oh my gosh, and it's like so nice. I mean, sometimes there are questionable moments, as is a lot of early 2000s, but I
Yeah.
feel like the pure escapism of reading about a life that I will never live is just so
Yeah.
nice. It's so
I
fun.
It's perfect. It's like candy. It's like literally just like reading a book that's just like candy.
Yeah, it's like
And
TV
it's
for your
great.
brain.
That's so it. And that's what I love about it. And oh my gosh. And I think what we're covering, like, there's like what, 10 or 12 books in this series? Cause like, so we're going to be like in it for a minute in the trenches
Yeah.
of Gossip Girl lore.
Nothing can beat the Vampire Diaries trenches. That was so hard.
I'm back. I'm excited to be back in a long series too. It's been a minute. We're really going to get to know these characters on a deeper level.
And these chapters move really quickly.
Oh
So
my God.
if
Yeah.
you don't know where we're at, we probably don't either. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But
No,
keep
get ready
up.
for
Get it
like little, yeah,
together.
keep up, get it together. We're all rich and famous and sexy now.
And
And
I don't
you,
know, we might adopt like a little bit of Mean Girl vibes this season. I kind of want to
yeah.
be a Mean Girl reading
Yeah,
these.
if you wanna be cool, you're gonna listen to the entire fucking season of our show, you little
So,
prudes.
yeah, exactly. Apologize in advance if I'm a little bitchy this season.
Okay, okay, I feel like I am ready to dive in, Maggie. Do you feel like
I'm
you're ready to
so
dive in?
ready. Yeah,
Get ready
absolutely.
up, folks, because out of all the ways this book could open, it opens with an Oscar Wilde quote, which I thought like, okay, slay Cecily Von Ziegesar.
Oh yeah,
Opening in
wasn't okay, you
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, it was like I forget what it was. Let me pull it up really quick. But it was really just like had no idea that that was it. Oh, scandalous gossip made tedious by morality. Okay, okay, let's get into it.
I
Um,
was like wondering genuinely if Oscar Wilde said that, but if he did, what a
I mean,
what a
why
sassy
would
boy.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I feel like it has to be an Oscar Wilde quote because it's like, where else? What? Like, if you had to pick someone to attribute a quote to, why would you pick Oscar Wilde? Like, yeah, he was like a little party boy, picture of Dorian Gray, but I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was just gonna say he is a bit obsessed with vanity just because of
yeah,
Picture Dorian Gray. So I guess it does make sense.
exactly.
He's a little
Yeah,
metropolitan.
exactly. But anyway, we open with a Gossip Girl blog. We get lots of little Gossip Girl blog check-ins throughout this book. If you don't know the premise of Gossip Girl, the premise is there is like a gossip blog for these rich high school students. Nobody knows who Gossip Girl is, but boy, does she stir the pot often. She's
Mhm.
always putting fire to rumors and just stirring shit up, for lack of a better word.
And this Cosmopolitan book series is set in New York City, specifically the Upper East Side, where most people are. We're not from dumpy Brooklyn, where we are following the wealthiest of the wealthiest. Most of the girls go to Constance Billard, the boys go to St. Jude's, and Gossip Girl is reporting that Serena Vanderwoodson is back from New Haven after being kicked out of boarding school. But no one knows
Uh-oh.
why.
Not
Mystery.
mystery alert. This is just like One of Us is Lying, but not really.
Mhm.
So we check in with Blair, who's also one of our main characters. Her mom's having some like fancy party, and we learned that all of the rich kids are allowed to just drink at these parties because it's normal. And we also learned that her
Yeah.
mom is dating this guy, Cyrus Rose, who's like a rich, creepy guy, like very boisterous is the word I would use to describe him. Um,
Yeah,
And
he's very, like, pushy too. They're at
yeah,
this obviously, this, dinner party, and Nate comes up, and he's kind of, like, struggling with the fact that he can't really admit that he loves Blair, he's not really sure, and Cyrus Rose is like, "Well, have you guys,
fucked.
like, fucked?" Essentially?
Literally. It's so fucking weird. Because like he's not even like Blair's official stepdad. He's just like her mom's boyfriend. Like, get out, Cyrus. Go do
I
something your own age.
We get a lot of the Waldorf's backstory with this opening because this is a party where people are invited to meet her new boyfriend, which love it.
Okay,
Very
slay.
theatrical.
So yeah, big launch, hard launch into the relationship.
And all of Blair's friends are here. Chuck is here, Nate is here, Katie and Isabel, those are kind of like her lackeys, are
Mhm.
here as well with their family. And Blair is really excited because Blair is ready to lose her virginity tonight. All of her good girl ideals are going out the window. She's like, I just want to do it now with my boyfriend,
Yeah,
Nate Archibald.
exactly. Yeah, no, we learned that she's gotten close a few times, but she's been too good girl to try. But now that he's wearing a sweater that she got him and stitched a little gold heart into, she's like, I am horny and I am not stopping it.
She
Um,
resolves to go outside and eat a hot dog, though, before losing her virginity. This-
which honestly, a vibe. That's like literally the best of like, oh my God, I'm about to have sex. Do I want to eat before or after? I'll go get a hot dog really quick. I love that mindset.
But she runs into Nate, who is filling up his scotch because, once again, parents don't care. They have a very European, laissez faire approach to kids drinking. And she grabs Nate. She's bringing him to the bedroom. At some point during this, it's implied we get a bit of Chuck's character, too, because it is
Yeah.
said that he kind of had like non consensual sex with Katie once, which
Yeah. He's
sets
a
the tone for him.
big old slime boy, if you will. And while Nate and Blair start hooking up, they hear Blair's mom loudly greet Serena, who is suddenly back from boarding school and nobody knew she was going to be at this party. And so this stops the sex from happening, which, like, I would be mortified if I was like, I am finally ready. And my boyfriend stops hooking up with me to go say hi to one of the hottest girls in existence. And that's not even me putting my own opinion on it. That's what Gossip Girl says over and over and over, that Serena is like the hottest person to ever exist.
And if this isn't the first red flag of a 17-year-old guy leaving you in your own bed, when Nate goes to say hi to Serena, it kind of seems obvious that not only is Nate in love with Serena, but Serena kind of reciprocates it. They get very much in their own world of
Very
like,
flirty. Yeah.
do you remember this moment? Do you remember this moment? Remember this really intimate moment? And like Serena and Nate, they're just openly flirting at this party. She's reminding him of the time they had sex. Doesn't really
And like
seem very
literally
remorseful
like
about it.
it's so important to note that Nate's first reaction upon seeing Serena is that how much he wants to say that I say I love you to her, because he's missed her so much, and it's like Blair is but a consolation to Serena having been gone. Um
Yeah.
and meanwhile, while they're flirting, Katie, Isabel, and Chuck are all gossiping about things that really happened to Serena while she was overseas in boarding school. Like, there's a rumor that she has a kid in France, that she got kicked out for having a bunch of like orgies on her dorm floor. Like, really unbelievable things that it's kind of laughable that people like are even entertaining because they have nothing better to do.
Yeah, they leave out the most damning, piece of information of Serena. I mean, I guess they don't know. Chuck kinda knows that her and Nate hooked up, but Nate and Serena lost their virginity to each other
Oops.
in his parents' bedroom, which, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Ooh.
Is that the place? Is that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
place where
And
the kids are having sex? The
yeah, and
parents'
we
bedroom?
also we also learned that Blair, Serena, and Nate were like an unstoppable threesome, and Blair and Nate were like together while they hooked up. So not looking good.
Took a bit of
Serena,
math on our end to figure that out, because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in the books, they have been no, in the show, they've been dating on and off, since kindergarten, but in this one, I think they've been dating since middle school, so
yeah.
Serena
It's been
definitely knew.
it's bad. And Serena finally stops her flirting to her supposed best friend's boyfriend to say hi to her supposed best friend, and
Very
the
awkward.
vibes are off. Like, It is awkward and weird. It feels almost like this is just like a weird coworker that you're expected to just like talk to all of the sudden. That's like the vibe it gives off.
Yeah, Blair and Serena, they sit together at dinner. Serena's trying to tell Blair all of her amazing stories from Europe when she was abroad, including she was kicked out her first week, but Blair is uninterested. And a big reason Blair's uninterested is because Serena has not been in correspondence with her for a year. And
Yeah.
within that year, Blair's parents got divorced, and her dad
Yeah.
is now dating a male model, which big life changes. If my best friend didn't talk to me during that, fuck off. Sorry.
Yeah, but to the, consolation of that, Serena really does try to apologize to Blair for being so MIA. But Blair has also realized that with Serena being gone, she's not really seen as a second best anymore. So she's kind of trying to distance herself from Serena. This is really interesting because it's like Serena has the best of intentions in a way of like getting things back on track. But Blair seems like she really wants to outgrow having Serena in her life. And it's a very good back and forth of like who is actually right in this scenario. Maybe both, maybe neither.
Blair has a pretty bad reaction to all of this, though. Blair has suffers from bulimia. She leaves the table. She purges. Serena follows her, trying to be like, "Why are you being standoffish?" And
Vibes
Blair's
are
just
bad.
short.
Vibes are bad. Vibes are bad.
Vibes are
We,
bad.
we get a GG post, a GG alert. That's Gossip Girl for you folks that are just tuning in. As
GG
if they tuned
aside.
in, scrubbed to 11 minutes and just started listening. um, but we get some just rumor candor. There's another rumor going around that Serena's maybe dealing drugs in Central Park with like
Okay,
cute little
jealous.
pills that have S on them.
Cool.
And at school, Blair is hating the fact that Serena's going to show up, loving the fact that Serena's running late. We get introduced to Jenny, who is a freshman that is really good at calligraphy. And her third thing about her is that her tits are huge.
We got a 34 double D 14-year-old in our midst, and yes, that is Jenny Humphrey, who's a bit of an artist
And
herself, but that'll take a
don't
backseat to
worry,
her tits.
folks. The author will not let you forget how huge her tits are, and neither will we.
Staying true to the source material.
Yeah. We really have to do justice to the world of Upper East Side.
Yes. So they are in this sort of assembly thing when Serena bursts through the auditorium doors late. Mrs. McLean, the Constance headmistress, also lesbian, which we are reminded of often throughout the book series. As I started the fourth book before the first one, trust me, it comes up. She kind of lets Serena get away with it, and Serena's looking like a hot mess, but like in a sexy way. You know when girls are just effortless
That's
in
kind of
being hot
Serena.
messes? That's Serena.
Yeah. And Jenny like thinks Serena is so cool and so elite that
Mhm.
she literally dips out of this assembly as soon as she possibly can and runs to call her brother Dan. Um, and the author at this point, when she introduces Dan and Jenny in this phone conversation they're having, the author very much just says they're both losers. And I thought that was so fucking funny to just be like, okay, you created these characters and you're just like, and these people are lame as shit. And it's like, okay.
She let us know where they stand in the
Yes,
social
where they
hierarchy.
stand in the hierarchy. But we learned that Serena and Dan met way back at a party in 8th grade, and Dan has been obsessed with her ever since. Even though Dan's like a cool like poet guy, and he shouldn't like girls like that, there's something different about Serena because he of course gives into the manic pixie dream girl
Of course
at a
he's
stage
going
10.
to. That's his muse right there. Dan,
Yes,
though, has to decide how much this muse is going to stick because he overhears Chuck saying that he saw Serena last night and that Serena fucked Nate, which oops, and she fucked every boy at her boarding school. That's a part of the gossip that's going around too. Got them hooked on drugs. We know that's
yeah.
not true, but who knows? Who knows what
He
the truth is?
also he also overhears the plans for the Kiss on the Lips party, which is really just a fundraiser for like a peregrine falcon that's endangered in Central Park. And he's like, but maybe Serena will be there and maybe I can score an invite. So our little hopeless romantic just got a little more hopeless, if you know what I mean.
Yep. The loser ring gets a little bit larger with our newest addition to the pathetic hierarchy, Vanessa
We've got
Abrams.
our elite hierarchy, our pathetic hierarchy, and somewhere in the middle of that Venn diagram is Chuck, who is both elite and pathetic.
Yeah, exactly. Vanessa Abrams, bottom of the barrel, shaved head, is presenting to her film class this idea she has for a short film because her whole thing is she wants to go to NYU, she wants to major in film, and she also wants Dan, the elusive Dan with some massive sideburns, I assume, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she wants a blonde for her short film, which seems to be pointing to Serena.
Yeah.
Trouble.
Yeah,
Trouble
which
for
is like
her.
also like how could she not realize being like I'm just describing the girl that came back to school because there's only like 30 people in the class. Like it is a small school.
And
But
take it from me, they're probably not all natural blondes like I am,
yeah.
so
Yeah, well, at lunch, Blair and Katie and Isabel are all talking about the kiss on the lips party, and they don't want to tell Serena because they know she'll be the belle of the ball and not the falcon that they don't care about.
exactly. She's
And
gonna
Serena,
be flying high.
exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Serena comes up to eat with them, and they're just ignoring them. She cannot get
Yeah.
a lick of information out of Blair about this kiss on the lips thing, and she is just baffled. She's like, "Why is Blair not being nice? Does she know that
Yeah.
we slept? I slept with Nate. I almost said Snape."
Yeah. Serena's like, it's kind of weird that no one wants to hang out with me. I'm used to everyone doing everything for me at my beck and call. So she's having a little dose of reality of the consequences of, just disappearing for a year and having to face the consequences of that.
I think Serena would have really liked Tumblr.
I don't.
Really?
Yeah, she doesn't really strike
Oh,
me as someone who goes online a ton. She's really like preppy. She loves to go out and about.
okay, that's fair. She would have loved crop tops, though.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think crop tops were popular in the 2010s, so it makes sense.
There we
Um,
go.
there is a Gossip Girl post happening on our pages, folks. It is a story about Nate who goes to a pizza place for lunch often and flirts with one of the girls there.
Uh-oh. It's a different Upper East Side school with this girl that he's flirting with, which that's it. That's the whole news we get. And then
Yeah,
that's all. I
that's
don't
pretty
even
much
think
it. Yeah,
Blair reads it.
honestly, like when I remember reading these books in high school, I felt like we always got like more from the Gossip Girl messages, but I was like
Yeah.
reading through these. I was like, a lot of this is not really important information at all.
Maybe it picks
Um,
up as it goes on.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, Serena asks Nate to hang out, gets a voicemail, so she leaves him a message. And she talks about how she got her first period and how her brother was so awesome. So she calls her brother instead and leaves him a message. And that's pretty much how Serena's night goes.
Yeah, Serena's got a pretty boring night. Meanwhile, Jenny is challenging Dan at home. They're teasing like siblings do, while
Yeah.
he is reading over the part in Vanessa's short film to get the details on. Oh, Jenny's trying to figure out if he's excited if Serena is back.
Yeah.
She's dropping hints about this party next Friday, and Dan doesn't really want to go, but Jenny is determined to go, and their dad shuts it down and compares Jenny to their absentee mom who was obsessed with higher society, which is kind of harsh.
Yeah, yeah. I love that Rufus's whole thing that is that he hates all rich people exclusively because his wife ran away with a rich person and moved to Europe. I mean, I guess it's fair, but maybe get some therapy in the meantime.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously.
Nate is in the hallways at the next day at school, and he's supposed to go to the computer lab because him and Blair have this thing where they write love notes to each other. So he's gonna go like write his daily love mail that he really kind of seems to talk about begrudgingly, and especially today because he can't stop thinking about Serena instead of writing a love note.
Yeah,
And he reads Blair's email. Her email talks about how much she wants to have sex with him. He's more worried that he'll find out that he had sex with Serena. And instead of responding, he deletes the email.
that was so cold. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and then he goes to get high instead because it's like the truth is Nate would just rather have sex with Serena and he doesn't want to admit it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Serena, meanwhile, I mean, she seems to be skating by with her life and doing fine until she meets with her college advisor who's like, "Hey, things don't really look great. Your grades are fine. They're not subpar. They're very subpar, and maybe you should do some after school activities. So we got a school production of Gone with the Wind coming up and you get in theater. And Serena's like, I mean, I guess I can. I guess I can just do anything I want all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Another consequence of Serena's actions of just like being like, I am a free spirit. I love to party. And they're like, so do you want to go to an Ivy League? And she's like, well, I'm supposed to. Yeah. And they're like, great. So you have
Do
to work.
something.
You have to work for that. She, like Maggie said, decides to join the drama club and do Gone with the Wind. No one wants to hang out with her in between this guidance counselor meeting and when that rehearsal would start. So she ends up going home and then realizing that she has an invitation for an art gallery. And of course, she goes in and she's like, oh, everybody's staring at me just like they're supposed to. And these two photographers, the Remy brothers, end up like greeting her. They're enthralled by her. And they ask her if she will model for their transit photo for them. So she goes into like a secret back room to take a picture for this photo that's going to be plastered all over the city.
Yeah, it's gonna be on buses.
Yeah.
Just everywhere. Everywhere you see a bus, it's Serena
Sexy
time.
bus photo.
Jenny overhears Blair talking about the kiss on the lips party and how the addresses, there were changes in the addresses. They're like crunched on sending out invitations. And Jenny figures, hey, my calligraphy is good. So she volunteers in exchange for an invite to the party. And since they are so crunched on time and Blair has no one else, she's like, yeah, sure. I mean, it'll be free. So why not?
Yeah, she would rather spend money on flowers than invitations, which is such a rich girl problem.
I know, seriously.
Um, Serena is not only late to the rehearsal, but on her way too. She sees out the window all the girls that she were trying to hang out with have been hanging out without her, which,
Oh,
ouch, I don't care
hurts.
how pretty and cool you are. That hurts no matter which way you slice and dice it.
Yeah.
She also decides that Gone with the Wind is not for her. She decides to instead audition for Vanessa's film because she saw like a poster for that earlier. And she's like, and oh, also the most pretentious thing about Vanessa, she's not like having auditions. She's like, if you think you could fit the aura of my film, meet me on the bench in Central Park near the bridge. I'll be there waiting. It's like, that's not how auditions work, but okay.
No, so of course one person shows up, this girl Marjorie, because Vanessa didn't put out an actual cast call. Marjorie's like a redhead, she's not reading any of the lines well. So when Serena shows up, Dan loses his shit, and B, Serena does a pretty good job. They actually have like chemistry going on. But the next day, Vanessa's like, I can't have this. I have a crush on
Yeah.
Dan. So she gives the
Yeah.
part to Marjorie instead.
Out of jealousy too, because Vanessa like also secretly likes Dan. When it also sucks too, because it's like Vanessa, you feel like should be like the most like feminist character in this book of like, I'm not gonna judge this person because she's pretty. But Vanessa like literally hates Serena just because she's a pretty girl.
I know, which is bogus. So Serena's stressed now because she really needs an extracurricular activity. And Serena's like, maybe Blair would want to like do a film or like do something with me. So she asks Blair, and Blair shoots her down immediately. And Serena's like about to cry because she's not hanging out with anyone. She doesn't really have any friends. And Blair
Yeah.
is like, okay, fine, you can hang out with us on Friday. We are going to get a drink at this hotel lobby because they love hotel lobbies and the drinks they give there throughout
Honestly,
this book.
it's so funny because like if somebody told me like, oh, we have to go to my favorite place. It's at the hotel lobby. I'd be like, that sucks. Like that's not a cool place to go hang out. That's weird.
I know, I'm like, Laura, meet
Hotel
me at the
lobby is the place
Marriott.
you hang out like in between like appointments when you're on a little trip. Like it's not a place you just go hang out regularly.
No, it's like where people have business meetings. I can't imagine going of my own free will to a
Yeah.
hotel lobby.
Exactly. And Blair in her head is like, I'm going to cut this little hangout short and I'm going to go have sex with Nate after she's on a quest and she must finalize it.
Exactly. She is booked and busy.
Yes, she is. And now
Yes,
she's
she
about to
is.
be bussy too, if you know
She's
what I
about to be bussied down.
mean.
Vanessa.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
oh, sorry,
you
go.
go.
Oh, no, no,
No,
no,
no.
no, no. Okay. Do you want, you go, you go.
Okay, I was just going to say that Vanessa's on some other side of the city is breaking Dan's heart, saying that she's not going to give the role to Serena, and Dan is mad about this. And his response, instead of maybe just saying, "I think she would be best for the film," I mean, he tries, but anyways, he's like, "We don't have to hang out, you and I, Friday. That's fine. I have to
Yeah.
go to something anyways, and not tell you what it is."
Whatever. And Jenny little 14-year-old big boobed Jenny. She has stayed up the entire night working on her little invitations. Um, and she ends up running into Serena and giving her the invitation because she's like, "Oh, I noticed this had your old address on it." And Serena also thanks Jenny for signing up to help her with her movie, which she doesn't really know how she's going to make.
Yeah, she has no idea how she's gonna make it. She does know that Blair doesn't want her to go to the party, which is a bummer. She's got no friends. But we do get a
Yeah.
really interesting tidbit of information from Gossip Girl sharing
This
that
is the stuff I want from Gossip Girl,
yes.
honestly.
They
This was the hottest piece of goss that dropped.
She says Serena and Blair made out in a hot tub in Chuck Bass's suite, his little apartment, which, ooh,
Exactly.
whoa la
And
la.
get ready for the part 2 to that little dish,
Yes,
because at the hotel bar, obviously, Blair is waiting for Serena before she's going to go have sex with her hot boyfriend Nate. They order drinks, and they start talking, and the vibes are weird. They talk about Serena's bus picture that's all over town. And what we know about this picture is that it is like a mystery body part. It's described as looking like her lips are puckered, but it might not be that, if you know what I mean. And
yeah, it seemed
I
like it
don't
was
really
implied
know
it was her
because, like,
vagina.
yeah, like that's the thing. It's like alluded that it could be like a little butthole, like a little nipple. It changes kind of like description a lot because like it's
Yeah.
so avant-garde. But I honestly find it hard to believe that a transit system would have just a picture of a booty hole. Like that was just like low contrast on its little advertisements. But I don't know. I'm not from New
Yeah,
York, so
what is
maybe it's
this,
different
Boys Town,
here.
Chicago?
Right? Put a butthole in Chicago, people. Anyway, Blair's being really mean to Serena, obviously, because she's still butthurt, pun intended, that
Butthurt, yeah,
Serena
exactly.
got kicked out of boarding school and was being so MIA. And Blair straight up tells her, "I feel sorry for your parents." And I'm like, that's mean.
I know. I don't know what this whole tension is with them because it's not even like Blair knows that Nate and Serena hooked up. It is mentioned that she felt kind of weird about the kiss that her and Serena had together and that Blair initiated it. So I
I
was like, is that something we're going to learn about later?
Well,
I
see,
don't
here's the
know.
thing, because Blair bolts like after they have one drink. And as Blair is leaving, quote, thinking about that kiss always made her feel hot and itchy and uncomfortable. And it's like,
Mm,
those are not words that allude to you being straight, Blair. And that's okay. But
yes.
just like accept your fate. Um,
I'm excited. Maybe she'll have a
yeah.
girlfriend down the line. It's still
Ooh,
early days.
it's still early
So
days.
Blair leaves and Serena's sad, but don't worry because Chuck Bass is showing up to drink with
Wearing
her as well.
wearing his signature cashmere scarf with his initials on it.
You know,
Like,
as you
in
do.
my mind, Chuck looks so doofy all of the frickin' time.
Yeah, he looks like a cosmopolitan, version of the professor in Curious George. I don't even know if he's a professor, but you know what I'm talking about, the guy with the
Yeah,
yellow
yeah.
suit.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So they go upstairs to his suite. They're gonna take drinks up there. I mean, obviously he's gonna make a move. They watch
Yeah.
Dirty Dancing, and Serena's a little drunk. So when Chuck gets on top of her and starts kissing her, Serena kind of lets him, but she's not feeling it. So she makes him go get her water, and then she falls asleep when he comes back. Which I guess if you trust him,
Yeah.
that's I don't
Meanwhile,
know.
Nate could not be taking more time to show up at Blair's apartment to take her virginity. He is thinking more about the burrito he's going to get afterwards
That
than
was so
actually
funny.
having sex with his girlfriend. Again, absolutely mortifying if you are just fully invested in someone who cares more about burrito than fucking you.
He stops to get like a little thing of whiskey on the way, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are
He's
you
like, "Man, the only way
doing?
I'm gonna get through this Pound Town sesh is if I'm a little buzzed."
Serena, meanwhile, back at Chuck's place, we get a little juxtaposition between her and what's happening with Nate and Blair. She
Yeah.
wakes up and she realizes Chuck hasn't really done anything to her in her sleep, thank God. But now she's
Right.
like, I'm ready to go. So she tries to go, and Nate, or not Nate, Chuck is like mad all of a sudden, and he's walking her down to the cab in the rain, and is like, "You've been fucking Nate and everyone while you were abroad. You think you're too good for me?" And she gets mad at this, which I would
Fair.
too.
I would too. Yeah, Chuck feels like he's very much entitled to women, which is bad. We do not like him.
No, we hate Chuck.
Um, Blair, meanwhile, answers the door naked when Nate arrives, as like this is going to be confident and sexy of her, but she does it in a way that's very awkward and silly, and makes it all uncomfortable. So he finally comes in. She tells him to take his clothes off. She asks him for a condom. She's just like gaping at his boner because she is obviously new to a naked boy in her bed, and they spend an hour just like on like kisses, just kisses for an hour. And Nate, again, all he's thinking about is this burrito. And then finally he gets up, boner in hand, I imagine,
Boner
says
deflates because she bit his pinky.
it deflates with the sound of a sad, sad balloon as
Exactly.
he says he had sex with Serena, and she should at least know that if they're gonna ever be together. And she tells Nate to leave. And Blair fantasizes about Serena getting hit by a bus, which kinky, but okay, Blair, especially since you're in love with her.
So you would think after Nate gets this burrito he's been thinking about nonstop all night, he would go home, maybe digest the burrito, let it sit for a bit. No, no, no. He goes and meets Serena at her apartment just after this for some reason, I guess. Like, keep digging that grave,
Yeah.
buddy.
And poor Serena, she's like a little too drunk. She's a little like sick and hungover. And she kind of makes a move on Nate, and he gets really turned off by this. And she just like falls asleep, and Nate is mad. But don't worry, he did get his burrito, and that's what's important.
He did get his burrito. Yeah, he like all of a sudden he's been pining after her this whole book, but he sees that she has Chuck's scarf in her purse and it is like covered in her own vomit because she wiped it up
Threw
in the
up,
cab.
yeah.
And he's just like, God, it's too easy and boring to be attracted to Serena. And she's kind of careless. So he leaves, and the Blair and Nate no sex encounter is on Gossip Girl the next day, which I just hate.
Again, really make it more embarrassing for Blair.
Yeah, seriously. Jenny, meanwhile, she's still go go go. She's trying to get Dan out of bed the next morning, perky tits, ready for the day. She's trying
Sun's
to
out, tits up.
go. She's trying to go suit and dress shopping. She wants to go to Barney's for the party, so she can look good. And she's like, "You can get an Armani suit. You can look hot. We've got Dad's credit card. Let's get it poppin'." So they go shopping at Barney's. And Dan sees Serena shopping with her mom in the store, and he's like, I got a bolt. I got a bolt.
Like
I can't. I got a
like
bolt.
no, and like here I thought he was gonna bolt to like leave Barney's, but he bolts to go buy a suit. That is how like the power Serena has over him. Like his immediate thought was like, oh God, I gotta go get that Armani suit. Like, bye Jenny, I'll be back. And
Such an expensive suit. It's so expensive.
it's like $700 or something like that. And Jenny ends up talking to Serena briefly in like the dressing room and decides to buy a sexy black dress so she can impress and be like Serena.
Yep.
Um, and
Yeah.
then
Chuck, Nate, Serena, after this, and Blair's family, they all have brunch at the Metropolitan Museum, which
for the board
is
members, but
for the
brunch for
board
the board
members.
members.
Yes.
And obviously, when Blair sees Nate, she storms off because he chose a burrito over her wet wet ass
Exactly.
pussy.
He ate the wrong thing that night.
He ate the wrong sloppy thing that night. And Nate chases after her, burrito in hand, trying to apologize. And Nate this morning has finally acknowledged that there was a little golden heart in that like evergreen sweater that she brought for him. And he's like, wow, maybe I should be in love with her because she clearly likes me so much. And it's like, it's been years of this, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
how are you just getting this now?
He realizes, just like last night when he didn't order extra sour cream on his burrito, that he lost a good thing. He lost a good thing. Blair's stepdad kind of adds some salt to the wound because in the bathroom he does tell Nate some weird quote about like women and sex and being like,
He says all couples fight about our sex and money, so you and Blair must be fighting about sex. How?
which he's not too far off. Meanwhile, Blair leaves her table to hang out at Katie and Isabel's table so they can bitch about Serena. now because that's
Yeah,
par for
and
the
Serena
course.
does corner Nate what finally when she shows up and she's like, "Why aren't you talking to me?" And he's like, "What do you mean? I am talking to you right now." And it is very, very awkward.
Yeah, he's just avoiding her because now he wants Blair, but it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that.
So Serena's like getting ready for the Kiss on the Lips event that Friday. She's trying to decide if it's even worth it to go, and she calls her brother Eric, her older brother, and he is like, "Fuck everyone not talking to you." And she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna call Vanessa instead, and like just kind of see if I can ask if she'll help me on my film project. Maybe get the ball rolling of seeing what her Friday night plans are."
Yeah, and Vanessa's honestly shocked by this, but Vanessa's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you," because Vanessa loves the arts. And Vanessa also kind of picks up on Serena of like not having any plans. So she's like, "Well, do you want to come like hang out with me in Brooklyn?" So Serena's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And they're going to go see her sister Ruby's band, which is going to be fun.
Bummer for Jenny though, who's at this Kiss on the Lips party. She's got no one to talk to because she thought Serena was gonna come. So she just starts pounding champagne.
Woof.
And God, just another bullet to the head. Chuck is hitting on her, but he's mostly focused on her breasts and has not asked her name.
No. No, it's
Bad
always
news.
better if they don't know your name. Um,
Seriously.
Serena and Vanessa are actually having a really good time at the bar, which is great to see Serena having some fun in this book. Dan shows up wearing a tux because he returned the Armani one. He's wearing like a one that's too big, a little hand me down from his dad or
It's so
something.
funny. We got Boss Baby in the bar.
Yeah, and boy is Dan elated to see Serena. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I was a cool guy. I blew off the party. Not really my thing, too." Just like you said, Serena. You said it wasn't your thing. So I'm saying it's my not my thing, too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Serena is so ditzy, is like, yeah, that's great. I love that. That's
Yeah.
great for us. And Vanessa's annoyed, but you know, what could she do?
What can she do?
Meanwhile, the party is popping. We got a super high Nate coming in, probably burritos on his mind.
He's got burritos between his hands like little Wolverine. He's ready to slash through the world with the little
He's
burritos in his
saving
hand.
them for later. Blair, he notices Blair is on her way to the bathroom to vomit when she is intercepted by the head of the Falcon Foundation. So Nate kind of steps in because he's like, "Here's where I can be a white knight," and he introduces himself to the head of the Falcon Foundation, leaving Blair to go take a minute in the bathroom to herself.
Yes. And he also gets the conversation to sideswipe to Katie and Isabella. He ends up apologizing to Blair, and they're kind of like on good terms again, which is great. That's exactly what he wanted. Um,
Yeah, he admits that he only slept with Serena because she was willing to, and Blair is like, "Okay, I'll get back together with you if you don't talk to her," which is like, I don't if my
it's
boyfriend
like
was
again,
like, "I slept with your best friend because she was willing."
yeah,
Okay.
I love the entire logic that some people have of like, well, they say they love me and that's enough. So I'll put up with all the bullshit.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, back at this cool little bar in Brooklyn, Serena is loving the band and invites Dan to dance with her.
Mhm.
And Vanessa doesn't even have time to be jealous because Clark, the bartender, is like, "Hey, you come in here a lot. Do you want to know a secret?" And she's like, "Sure." And he's like, "I think you're really cool and I have a crush on you. And do you want this drink that I just made for you?" And she's like, "Okay." And they kiss. So like Vanessa's moving on hot and we love it.
Yes, she's going hot and heavy. Meanwhile, it is slow and steady at the DJ at the Kiss on the Lips party. The DJ just got broken up with, so she's only playing sad songs, and Jenny cannot get out of Chuck's grasp. He like kisses her, and she's like, "I just need a minute. I need to go to the bathroom." So she goes into a stall. She isn't peeing. She's just like, "I just got to get away from Chuck." And Chuck climbs under the stall after she flushes.
Awful. Awful. Literally terrifying. If somebody was like, "I'm going to crawl under and come into your bathroom stall," I would start yelling at them. But
I
also,
would
Jenny is
too.
14. She does not have that logic to just start yelling at people who are invading her space and being creepy.
Yeah.
So Jenny, in like the midst of Chuck's little crab walk under the stall, calls Dan in a panic and is like, "You need to come get me." And Serena's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go with you, Dan," because Serena's actually a good person. And they say goodbye to Vanessa, who could not care less that they're leaving because she found a new boy.
Yep. She doesn't even bat an eye. So Serena and Dan get to the kiss on the lips party, and Blair's like, "Hey, you know what, Nate? Why don't you go tell Serena now that you don't want to be friends?" So Nate goes up to her and tells her, and Serena's like, "Well, I mean, you guys are dating.
Yeah.
I love you, but there's not really anything I can do about it."
Literally, Serena has the best reaction here. Instead of like reacting in any way, she reacts with such indifference, with like literally like, okay, bye then, because you probably shouldn't be talking to me, and moves on her very way. That's how you hold the power in these scenarios.
Exactly. So she goes into the bathroom, she got to cool off from this interaction, and she sees a pair of heels under the stall and Chuck's scarf. So when she opens the stall, she sees Chuck has backed Jenny against a corner. Jenny is standing on the toilet seat with her dress down to her waist so he can see her boobs, and she's crying. That's not the way you get things, Chuck.
No, no, it is a really, really awful scene to read.
Yeah.
Dan also bursts into the bathroom at this very moment, being like, Jenny, are you in here? And she is. Dan and Chuck almost get into a fight, but Serena uses her words, sharp like knives, to get Chuck to back off.
Yeah.
And then the three of them all leave the party together. And the story ends with Dan and Serena holding hands in the cab on the way back. So
So I guess dot dot dot.
yeah,
What's gonna happen?
we get a little Gossip Girl wrap up post, which I thought was so funny because it was very much like, will so and so have this event happen to them? What's the deal with these things? This and more in the next Gossip Girl. It was very much like end of episode. But we
Yeah.
just basically learned that Blair and Nate are still together. Chuck is still a horny little skis ball. Vanessa is fully dating the bartender now. And it's very much like, what will happen next? Tune in next time on Gossip Girl.
And you will have to wait for next week to figure out what happens in book 2, but to tune in now to our top 5, you can do that with the if you're listening still, and
Nailed
that's
it, crushed
great.
it. That was seamless execution, nailed it.
I tried. I can't tell if you guys can tell I've been congested, but I have a bit of cold, so I'm going off a lot of Dayquil. This
Woo!
top 5 is going to be the top 5 plots that Serena's short film that she wants to make for college credit could possibly have. What's it going to be about? We don't know.
We don't know. Number 5, we considered she would make some like coming of age film that's very wannabe Ladybird, but the
Mhm.
plot is not fully realized because it's her first film. But she thinks it's really powerful and very artsy.
Yeah, she's like, "Is this my Frances Ha?" But it's not. It's more like a sleepover, which was still a good movie in its own respect. Number 4, she kind of makes her own life, the life that she wants. She gets a movie where she gets all new friends. They all love her. They're obsessed.
Yeah,
She's
the
like
life she
a
can't
nice
have
Regina
right
George.
now.
Exactly.
Another orphan, she dons on a little accent, becomes a little British orphan who gets discovered in a bank and becomes famous. That's a very rich plot that I think she could tell, or at least
Oh,
try
I
to.
think so. She'd have a little Oliver twist. She'd be like, "I want to see what it's like to be poor." Number 2, I never figured out a name for what it would be, but Serena lives a double life as a pop star that no one knows. Kind of like Hannah Montana.
Yeah, kind of like Hannah Montana, but like a worse rhymey name, like
Yes.
Serena Bobina.
Serena Bobina. I'm trying to think of any place. I said Sherrington, Washington earlier, and Laura said
Close
no.
enough.
Okay, sounds good.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
Write into us via email what the pop star name for Serena should be.
Oh, that'd be great.
Please, that would be great. And the last one, we really think this would be a hit. She becomes a kaiju monster like a Godzilla or a King Kong and ends up destroying the entire city. That would be very cool. She would have to learn a lot about After Effects, but I believe in her personally.
Yeah, I think she would have an absolute blast in iMovie figuring that one out.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess that brings us to our canceled character of the episode.
Oh,
Meggie, we haven't done canceled character in a while because we didn't do it for One of Us is Lying.
we have it.
So is it easy to say Chuck or
Oh, it's yeah,
should we
100%.
try? Should we try to think of somebody else? No, I think we have to say
I
Chuck. Chuck
think it
was
has
awful
to be
this
Chuck.
episode. And I have a feeling Chuck is going to be our canceled character a lot,
I was
but
gonna
he
say,
deserves it hands down.
I wonder how long he'll carry the torch for. I think it's gonna be a
Honestly,
while.
yeah, maybe he'll be our new canceled world record holder.
We'll just have to find out. And if you want to stay up to date on what we are doing, you can follow us on Twitter. We're not really on TikTok that much, but we'll see at yeah, we read it. We are on Instagram at Meggie underscore and underscore Laura. And if you want, you can email us at
Email
Meggie.
us.
Please do it. Meggie and
How
Laura
dare
present
you?
at gmail.com, baby.
And for this episode 1 of Gossip Girl, this is L and M spotted in the podcast studio signing off.
Yes, they are. L&M have to go, H&M
You know you love us.
shopping. Exactly.
Gossip Girl, yeah, we read it. Bye.